Hey there, Patty Dominguez here with episode 131 of the Positioning to Profit podcast, and it is such an honor to have you check out this episode. It is a special guest episode with Annie Redbird. You can find her on Instagram. Her handle is at Annie Redbird on Instagram. And what is so great is that she is going to help shed light on a very common situation. Think about this. How many times as an entrepreneur have you invested in yourself? In fact, it's a must, right? To invest in yourself, in your personal growth, to be a better person, to really let go of the things that keep you stuck, or to really facilitate breakthroughs in your life. But what if I told you that perhaps you feeling like there's a missing link is actually not uncommon? And so what Annie brings to the table is this ability to create sanctuary within. In essence, she's going to help you to shed light on how to make this whole personal development game easier. And who couldn't use more of that? And the way that she does it is so unique. It's so original. It's so Annie Redbird. You'll see what I mean when you check out this episode. It's so good. Okay. Also, while we're on the topic of Instagram, have we connected on Instagram yet? Because as you may already know, I was unceremoniously ejected from Instagram. My entire profile was taken away, one that I had built for so long. So if you would love to connect with me, I'd love to connect with you. The Patty Dominguez on Instagram. Yeah, it's really interesting. They could try to keep me down, but it's not going to work because I am back with this new profile. So let's connect, okay? All right. And with that, let's get on with the show. Here we go. Hey there, I'm Patty Dominguez. You're about to discover what it means to position your brand and your business to stand out. This show explores the stories of small business owners just like you who are bringing their message out to the world and impacting their tribe. So if you want to take your business to a category of one status, then hang with me because this podcast shares everything you need to know about how to be more prolific with your brand so that you can have more profits. All right. P. Annie Kirk, welcome to the Positioning to Profit podcast. Now, I call you P. Annie Kirk all the time because that's what I affectionately know you as, but you are fondly known as Annie Redbird. And there's a beautiful little story that is associated with why people call you Annie Redbird. But first and foremost, welcome to the podcast. I love having you on again. The last time we connected on the podcast was you were flipping the script and you interviewed me. And that was really a welcome departure from the traditional interview style that I do. So thank you, Annie, for being here once again.
I'm glad to be here. It's great to sort of play in this sandbox with you.
Yay. Okay, so for everybody's benefit, give us your 2-minute story with a little bit of a background, kind of that elevator pitch of what you do.
Oh, well, hello, everyone. And thank you again, Patty. This is a delightful space to explore, how we can help people more, right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And I am coming to you in this moment in time as a woman in her midlife and enjoying my ever evolving sort of own personal growth. And what I do is I help people connect more deeply with themselves. I do that by sharing the inspiration and the aspirations of sanctuary and creating space internally and also around to help us find our way home. So I am an intuitive designer and design intuitive. I'm also a sanctuary conduit, creative sort of conduit for people who are wanting to tap into that healing nature that is all around, that really reflects this beautiful sort of prospect and promise within, and really making that path easier to come home to yourself. So that is the joy and the reason I exist.
That's your reason for being. Yeah, that's your reason for being.
There it is.
So let me kind of fill in what I see as a person that has seen you just evolve in the messaging that you have and how you're different in the market. And the one thing, as you and I will exchange on Voxer that I see in you is that you basically make personal development easier. And who couldn't use more of that, right? And the idea behind that is, as somebody who has been very much a practitioner of personal development since 2003, through my own epiphany of the value of looking at answers on the outside, reading books, going through programs, walking on glass, walking on coals, the arrow with the throat at a T. Harv Eker event, on and on and on. I would literally do anything because I was looking for, how do I break through? So most often people will look to the external to find the answers or create the breakthroughs that they're looking for. They think it's in the external. And in part it may be, but I think that one of the realizations I had with my work with you, voluntarily or involuntarily, because I feel like my big epiphanies have been involuntarily. And they always associate with, I'm like, damn it, Annie, you did it again, right? And so the reason I say that is because you bring on this, you create this platform or path that help people discover themselves at a higher level. And I just did a show on business intuition. I definitely think that you're a beautiful example of that. And so I think it's incumbent upon us, especially as entrepreneurs. I think entrepreneurship is the greatest school ever, where it teaches you to look at yourself to be better so that you can, because as visionaries, it's like, there's such a big opportunity. And so one of the realizations I got from you is that instead of always looking to the external for people to fix us, you're saying it's time to look inside. It's time to create the space for yourself to create awareness. So can, or will you, I should say, will you expand upon that? Because I always look at, how are you different? How do you differentiate as you look at other coaches in the space that say, well, I can help you to be a better version of yourself? Can you expand on that idea that you really challenge the thinking that the answers are in the external?
Yeah, oh my gosh, can I expand on that? Do we have 4 days? No, I think that humbly, I will answer that question very humbly, that it's been through my own walk. Well, first I would qualify, like, we're all walking this together. We're all walking this together. So we are all each other's teachers. We're, and that beautiful passage in Course in Miracles, right? We're all here to be teachers. We may not be present when the lesson is learned. And I love that, right? Like, so if I consider that my purpose is to be, I can share a way, a pathway. I can help you clear a pathway back to yourself. It's only because I have had life experiences where I've sought answers outside of me, outside of the ecosystem of me, that is essentially, really denying my own intelligence, and an example of self-abandonment. Thank you very much. So I have sought those answers outside of me, only to come back to the root every time and realized, oh, it's already within me. It's already within me. It's inherent in my nature. So I talk a lot about your true nature, and we hear that, right? And I earnestly believe that we already have all the tools we need, that it's a process of reclaiming those, remembering those, reconnecting with those. And I have found, in my experience, the place that consistently happens is when I'm in sync with nature, the living proof, the example of ecosystem and diversity and sustainability and resilience and abundance. That when I lose sight, and I mean that in all the different ways you can say sight, when I lose sight of that essential, precious spark, I have some sort of nature deficit in that moment, right? I'm aware now because I've created enough space for myself to know, oh, there's a deficit. I need to come back to the seed, the root of who I am. And there are different ways that I have found for myself that, as I've gone through different seasons of my life, that help me come back to that. And that feeling, that coming back, for me, I would describe it as sanctuary, because then I am the safest place that I know. And I also know when I'm not the safest place, because of the personality mind go running, rampant, or a trigger that I'm in the middle of. And so if there's been a life event, significant life event, like my mother's and my brother's transition during this, pandemic time, within a couple months of each other, the place I found recovery, let's say, from that grief is rooting myself back into, okay, what is sanctuary for me, and how am I processing these feelings? And I tell my clients, the place for me, and when I'm experiencing these huge personal growth, personal expansion, what opportunities, pick one of those, is the place that can hold me is nature. Because those feelings, those feelings are huge. They can be huge. And to be connected with a force, a life force that is big enough, tall enough, deep enough, green enough to support me is where I go. It does make my personal growth easier. It softens it. Be the best way to describe it.
I would love to hear an example of how you've helped people, but from what I've heard you say and the way that you've articulated that, and I've seen some of the things that you've created, and really the way that I explained it, I'm like, it's like you help to facilitate this symbiotic relationship with nature that's always been there. Yes. And yet people forget about it. It's like you help to bring them back to the awareness, like, here's what you forgot. It's always been here. So instead of looking outside, instead of just going back to the simplicity of how do you tap into nature so that nature can fuel the empowerment that's within you. And I think there's something really beautiful with that. So regardless, and the reason why we've titled this, How to Make Your Personal Development Easier, is because regardless of the books that you're reading, the programs that you're attending, it's only as good as your ability to internalize, embody, go back to the root of that process. And you help people with that. And I think that's a really incredible way to, how do you say, like you're grounded in what you're learning. It's like these are the building blocks that you can bring back to home. And it's only as good as your ability to bring it back to home, and you help to create that. Am I articulating that right? I think
you're doing a great job. I'm getting a whole bunch of visuals because, it's so caveat for those that are listening. All of this is ironically, all of this sort of more spiritual, essence that we're talking about is so beautifully supported by science. And so we can talk about that and sacred beauty. And studies around beauty. But so I want to put a pin in that. But I believe deeply that there is like this suppressed wisdom. So first of all, I think that we come here and we already know everything that we need to know. I think that we do go through this lifing experience where we forget. And there's a lot of ego that expresses. Okay. So I think there's this deep suppressed wisdom, and that for those of us who want to support people fulfilling their highest, bestest personal expression. I mean, that's what we're talking about here is supporting people in coming home to themselves, which is the most perfect personal expression. We need to look at the fact that there's a suppressed wisdom. We have our society has dismissed some of the most simple, evident, powerful, everyday connections. That when we're tapping back into those things, we are healing. We are healing so much so quickly. And when you talk, what I see as an intuitive, I see the geometries of how all of these things are connected align, which is essentially design. And I hold a bias, and I'll claim it. I believe that we are all designers. I believe that we all have the ability to remember our creative wisdom, and that we are constantly, not unlike nature, right? There's so much, the perfect example, right? Just like nature, we are constantly creating. We are creating. So we can choose to create a life that is easy, or we can choose to create a life that is focused on the struggle. And so I think Eckhart Tolle does a really great job in describing that, when you decide to stop suffering, right? And that's that ego piece. And so when people are rich in the work of, we'll call it personal development work or spiritual growth or whatever, there is so much that is going on. And when we take that experience, working with therapists, working with coach, working with rabbi, whatever, and we soften that with this backdrop of nature and elements and what I call a person's sanctuary signature, when we are tapped into those things, that helps to soften and create a place to land, a soft place to land. Because I admire everyone deeply for the courage that it takes to do the exploration, to awaken the wisdom. And that takes a lot. And we're all at different places, but we're walking all of that together. And my God, just to have a soft place to land within yourself, and to know that you have encoded in you, in your DNA, a beautiful, beautiful expression of what that is in connection with nature. There are patternings, there are colors, there are tones, moods, beautiful quote unquote design expressions that harmonize with you. And luckily our brain can be satisfied by the science that backs that up, and our hearts and our souls can find the salve, knowing that that's there. So what nature does so beautifully and so simply, it's like, hey, I can solve that problem. I can solve that problem of soft place to land. I can make your journey easier. I'm right here in your every day. So that's that, just to riff off of yours, that's really, I think, the missing link, the missing piece that's so available to tap into.
Absolutely. And so, okay, so with what you do, it's so specialized, it's so unique. When it comes to the marketing of the thing that you do, can you tell us a little bit about the evolution of how you've come to this point and where you've landed? Because there's other intuitives out there, especially, I don't know, I think for those of you that are listening, you already know I'm kind of woo, is that there's this like new earth, right? New earth, and so many more people that are they're bringing their talents and feeling very confident that this is the time. This is the time to step into those gifts and talents and capacities. As we all know, the world is changing in significant ways. So more of this type of gifts are going to be needed in the world. And so when you look at your marketing, because I know you've been in the online marketing world for a very long time, how did you come to this place now where you finally found the message that you have? All right, we are about halfway through with the show, and I wanted to stop by with a question for you. Do you consider yourself smart, driven, and in control of your life, but for some reason growing your business is this strange exception? Or maybe you are able to start projects, but then quickly go into procrastination mode because you're not quite sure if you got it all right, or finding yourself avoiding figuring things out because you're not sure if you really have what it takes to grow your business. Think about it. All this self-doubt, imagine what it's costing you. And some part of you thinks, am I able to do this entrepreneur thing? Listen, sis, I get it. I really do. More than you can imagine. So what I know now is that after doing this for over 9 years, working on your internal repositioning, so to speak, is how you get past this. It's working with your higher self, tapping into more of that superpower, really owning it. So I put together this 21-day challenge. It's called the Meet My Higher Self 21-Day Challenge, so that you can discover what I call the triad of her success. It's the 3 key areas that you absolutely have to have in alignment in order to create the success that you desire and deserve. So the challenge is designed for super busy people in mind. The structure is easy, bite-sized action steps, audios, everything that you need for 21 days so that you can finally release this feeling of overwhelmed, or maybe it's a stress or the procrastination or just mind yourself in general. So go to meetmyhigherself.com to find out more. 21 days, discovering the tools to have you let go of all the junk that's keeping you stuck. It's possible. Just go to meetmyhigherself.com. And with that, let's get on with the show. It's been very iterative, right?
It has been so iterative. It has been many life cycles, many different seasons. And so I first stepped into so I've been designing and consulting and coaching around creating sanctuary for almost 3 decades, right? So I started first foot into all of this was from the science side. And so if you were to go back and we did a retrospective on how I was communicating with my audience, or my consumer, it was sort of the bedrock of science, gold science. Like, okay, we know we can improve heart rate. We know we can improve mood. We know that we can, have a faster recovery rate from X, Y, and Z. Okay, great. So that's what those were the seeds that were populating the language and the marketing. And then I hit a point where I had deep sort of my own personal awakenings, number, 3,277,000, right? And what I noticed, and this was a hard lesson, it was a very difficult lesson, is I was trying to be a square peg for a round hole. And I was in the industry of landscape architecture, planning and architecture, and the science was working, but the designs themselves had no heart. They had no heart, and no offense, but they had no heart to them. So though we were applying everything that we could from the science side, the essence, the spirit of the place, the genus loci, it wasn't being connected with. So that suppressed wisdom, which one could say is more that feminine, it wasn't being tapped into. So I started to gently speak more about the healing aspect from a mental and psychological side, right? And so there, I was sprinkling in what I understood from social work, previous career. I was starting to bring that message through. And then I had another sort of series of personal events. I like to call them sometimes magic carpet rides, but a series of deep changes. We had moved to the farm where we live now, this beautiful, magical farm. And the gardens that I had created around our home in another city, they stayed there. They didn't come with me. And so I remember distinctly on the back steps of the little old farmhouse, I was like, oh my God, I don't have my sanctuary around me anymore. But here I was on this incredibly verdant farm that had generated, we're third generation. Our son is fourth generation. It had fed these families in this community. It was, and so I was like, I don't have my sanctuary. And so it was very defined, sort of, cultivated landscape. And it occurred to me, sitting that day, I was peeling an orange. I was like, wait a minute. What if I am the sanctuary? I just had that moment. And it makes me want to cry right now. Like, could I possibly be all of those things for myself? Could I possibly take what resonates with me and carry it anywhere I go? Could I wear it on me? And could I create these moments in anywhere I go that are little sips of sanctuary? Could I take all of that science and actually experience it in different places and thematically get in touch with the seasons of my life and the seasons of nature and those cycles, and go and have that be a living sanctuary no matter where I am? And that's when, boom, it just sort of, it came together. And I'll tell you that the intuitive channels opened up. It was as though this farm said to me, thank you. You finally have arrived. And what's so incredible, I talk with people. We work on what their love language is, what their sanctuary love language is, right? The research title of that would be, what is your typology, right? And so the love language that is here at this farm, given the lay of the land, is sky and sea. And so there are these different sort of typologies that we go to naturally, that we're drawn to naturally when we're in different places in our development. And so I was in a place of expansion, that's the sky, and that connectivity to the greater, and the sea of possibility all around me, when these huge verdant seas of green, of crops growing all around me. And having that moment of like, oh my gosh, sanctuary is so much more than a dot, than a conceived, sometimes contrived sort of spot. That we are actually so deeply connected that we are nature. We are nature. And that softened everything for me right there. So that is how I got the marketing message that I share with people now, that
it clicks.
Be be your own sanctuary.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know, it's not so much about finding sanctuary. It's about being sanctuary.
So tell me, what do you envision for your business? Because you've really refined the message. We've actually talked within the community, within Prolific Cafe, like saying no to the wrong clients, right? If the clients are not the right fit, that's a big one. That's been a big one for all of us. And really stepping in and inviting the people that you're supposed to work with and supposed to attract. So as your business evolves, like, what do you foresee happening in your business?
Oh, I see an empire. An even larger empire. What do I see in my business? Well, I have a beautiful offering that remains sort of I would say the bedrock, which is the actual design of space. And alongside of that is a beautiful offering of helping to create sanctuary within. So I could say those are the two sort of lanes in which Redbird, my company, can support people. Now, the groovy thing is that those overlap. So when you say, what do I see? You're asking someone who sees for a living. I see those things blending. That will come to a point in this new earth, in this awakening, in this growing awareness that that there is no separation between the internal and the external. And that by doing that, by understanding that there is no separation in the world we're trying to create within and the world that is around us, that is how we'll actually collectively, as we walk together, take care of the planet. Because, there's that lip service of taking care of the planet and, recycling and la, 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 la. It's time to come home and shift gear, higher gear in taking care of self. Because we won't be able to take care of the planet if we are truly not understanding that we are the planet, that we are. And it starts so fundamentally first with CARE. So that's self-compassion, self-acceptance or self-awareness, that's self-respect and self-worth. And here's the big one, that E, that I feel like that we don't hit the beat on enough or yet, is energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So if we go all the way back to your questions, like, dude, okay, so how is it that you're making personal development easier? Is introducing the truth about sanctuary self-care, the sacred sanctuary within, that empowering environment, that lightened up, and the feminine flora, force, and flowers, all of that self helps with the care. Those things, those basic things that we're here to remember. And then, that's what I see, is that helping people back home, and by helping people on their way back home to true self-care as sanctuary, we then have regarded our planet as the true sanctuary it is. Right?
That's lovely, Annie. That's so beautiful. All right, we're going to transition to something I call the fast 5 questions. Okay, so just
does it involve dancing? Are we dancing?
Oh no, we're not dancing. I can. I guess if you actually, yes, technically it can. Okay, so fast 5 questions is answer instinctively what the real answer is. Okay, what's your idea of perfect happiness?
What's my idea of perfect happiness? Instinctively answer. Well, that's sitting somewhere and it's got a beautiful breeze, and my heart is absolutely so full of happiness, gratitude. I'm just so grateful, and I'm so in the fullness of the moment.
That's beautiful.
If there was ice cream, that'd make it better.
Exactly. Which living person do you most admire?
Jimmy Carter.
What trait do you most deplore in yourself?
Deplore.
Yeah.
My mind wants to change the word to deploy, which also applies. Which trait? Oh, when I get prickly. Yeah.
Okay. What's your greatest extravagance?
Wow. Okay. The greatest extravagance is love.
Really?
Is love. I am so rich in love, but extravagant, maybe that's not what you meant, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. And then when and where are you your happiest?
See, number one. When and where am I the happiest? When I am in full acceptance of who I am.
Good answer.
That's honestly it. But I've only known that, in my 50s.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
It's a good time.
And then, okay, so after all is said and done, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's such a good question, because recently I've been incorporating in my sacred morning practice when I charge up energetically, imagining the woman that the person who's giving my eulogy to be. And then that just totally charges me up. My legacy would be positivity. Positivity. The whole energy around, she just made things feel so positive. She always was just so positive. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of beauty in that.
I love that, Annie. All right, Annie, if somebody wants to make their personal development easier, they're ready to make their personal development easier and really understand the power within, and you can help them to find that sanctuary self that you discussed. How do people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
There is a beautiful opportunity to sit down for a chat. So they can connect with me for a connection call. That's what I think. That's where really the sort of genius can happen in figuring out what's best, the best path to that sanctuary self. So I would invite that. You can also come play with me over on Instagram. We can have lovely banter there. And then I hang out at Redbird Restorative Gardens. That's the website.
So it's redbirdrestorativeGardens.com.
Yes.
And then your Instagram handle, Annie?
Annie Redbird.
Perfect. At Annie Redbird on Instagram. And I'm assuming that on Instagram, they can connect with you to find out more with your clarity call.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, there's a link. That link in the bio.
Perfect. So the link in the bio on her Instagram at Annie Redbird is where you can find her on Instagram. Okay. Thank you so much, Annie. Annie, thank you for being on the show. I love hearing about the work that you're doing. I think it is so beautiful and thoughtful and heart-centered and definitely positive. Like you say, you want your legacy to be. So thank you for sharing a little bit of you with the audience. And I just want you to know how much I really appreciate you and I adore you. And I think that it's so beautiful to see you flourish and really step into owning your magic. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hey there, thanks for checking out this episode of Positioning to Profit. Please leave a review if you have gained a benefit from this episode. I appreciate it greatly, and I will give you a shout out on the show as well. I So appreciate the ratings and reviews. Okay, also for the positioning extravaganza, head over to positioningtoprofit.com. There's lots of goodies over there. It's a treasure chest of freebies as well as beautiful courses that will help you to establish your category of one and move your brand forward. And again, connect with me over on socials or on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on the socials. So I hope to connect with you there. And I look forward to catching up with you real soon.